Welcome back to AFTV, everyone. Germany have been out for a few days now, and we still don't know who the mystery German player is, so we're going to have to talk a little bit about that. Welcome back to Talking Transfers. Of course, everything happening in the world of transfers, we're here to discuss and debate it. Got Turkish, got Robbie, and got Christian Ty. Let us know your thoughts in the comment section below. We'll run some polls, we'll get your thoughts, get your questions in. We're here for the next 45 minutes to an hour. Anything that you want clarifying in terms of the rumours, the reports, any questions, whatever it is, let us know. Any thoughts? Help us make sense of the recent links, because Arsenal are offering 50 grand for players apparently. How are we all? Christian, welcome back to the channel. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Yeah, thank you for having me again. I said to Robbie, I woke up buzzing this morning. I watched the England game last night, and I support England when they're playing, and I enjoy watching England, but it's never the same feeling I get as when I watch Arsenal. Yeah. I'm one of the fans. If you said to me at the start of the season, England win the Euros, Arsenal win the Champions League, I'm always going Arsenal. Yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed the game last night. Woke up feeling good, endorphins rushing. Like, it's nice to have that feeling of getting to a final and really getting behind the country. Yeah. And I feel Watkins' moment last night kind of brought everyone together. Yeah, another final. Feeling good about football. I've been a little bit detached from Arsenal over the last few weeks, which has been nice. It's been a nice break. Sure. I've been watching your show a little bit, keeping up to date.
Stress-free.
I mean, the only thing is the Calafiori is the big one. But yeah, looking forward to getting back into some Arsenal chat.
Good stuff. There is a preview for Arsenal versus Spain coming out. Me, Robbie, Turkish discussed, debated everything around that game. Check that out, coming out in a few days' time. Robbie, how's Transfer Daily been the last week for you?
Yeah. By the way, I'm repping England as well, man. You know what I mean? No, I was really buzzing after that as well. That was fantastic, and to see our boys in the final, man, it's great. You know what I mean? Yeah. Rice and Saka, I can't wait. Transfers wise, I mean, it is picking up. It's been a bit of Calafiori daily. You know what I mean? Trying to wait to see when he's actually going to sign, because it does look like everything's been agreed. So. But then you showed me a picture today, or a video today, of him swimming with sharks over in the Maldives. You know what I mean? Yeah, what's going on? You know what I mean? They didn't get on the call, man. Swimming. Maybe that's why they haven't signed him yet. They're like, you know, make sure he's not eaten first, or anything that happened to him, and then we'll get that signature done. But no, it's started to pick up a bit, and because it has been very quiet, it's been a very unusual transfer window in that, you know, across all teams, there's not been a lot of early business. Because of the Euros. Yeah. And Copa America. But now I do think there's starting to be a bit of momentum. Yeah. Teams are looking to try and get players in before pre-seasons and stuff like that. So I think we're going to have a busy next few weeks.
Yeah, I think so too. By the way, Tanvir saying that apparently I said Arsenal versus Spain, so forgive me.
It is. Saka and Rice.
That's certainly from the perspective I'm watching it from, let me put it that way. Turkish. Dan Bentley, is he the guy to fire us to the title?
No, how can we start with this guy?
Is this the third choice goalkeeper?
What?
Yes.
50K.
Wolves' third choice.
He's Wolves' second choice, and we're signing to be our third choice.
Behind who?
Well, Raya Ramsdale. So if Ramsdale goes, we'd get another number 2.
Carl Hein.
What about Carl Hein just signed a contract, no?
To go out on loan, most likely.
What the hell is going on in this department, man? Listen, keeper's a position I'm not worried in, man. We had Ramsdale, we've got Raya now. Whether it's Hein, whether it's Bentley, I don't care who third choice keeper is. I don't expect to see them on the pitch.
So you're not going to do a live show?
No, but you can get Cecil to unveil the signing.
Listen, I've been shamelessly doing them. I think
that 500 grand. Right, I was just thinking, what would the song be? 500 grand down the green.
Not 500.
I think it's 50 grand.
It's 50.
No, it's 500 grand, isn't it?
Well,
no, it's 50.
So they're working. Sky Sports said 50,000.
I thought it was 500,000.
Some people have said no, it's 500.
It
but
can't
others
be
have
50.
I heard 50k,
thought,
which was why it was.
Yeah.
If it was 500, I'd understand for a third choice.
I thought it was even 500 grand is like.
Yeah, I haven't heard that figure.
I thought it was 500 grand.
I'm being deadly serious. Let me.
If it's 50 grand.
50k.
No, honestly, that.
If it's 50 grand and also try
to. Yeah, look.
It's 50k.
This is from the Standard. Simon Collins. Arsenal have had a bid rejected for Wolves goalkeeper Dan Bentley. Told the offer was £50,000, which apparently is what they paid for him. Yeah, Sky Sports. You could.
I thought it was on my show
with
today.
A bid
I said 500.
£50,000.
What about
50 grand?
Okonkwo? Where is he?
Don't know. He's just at Wrexham. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's there.
£50,000.
So people are confirming in the chat that they actually signed him for 50,000. So we've offered them what they paid for him, but that feels
50,000 down the drain. A Bentley saves again.
Hey, those watches were expensive than that. Crazy.
That's mad. Come on, Arsenal, man. 50 grand.
Yeah,
That's
1 year on his 1 year on his contract. He's 30/30. I think he might turn 31. He's 30. Yeah, he's going to be third choice. That 50 grand.
they get their money back.
No, it can't be 50 grand. That's got to be an error.
I'm telling you, Talk Sports, 50 grand. They've said as well.
It looks like we're just trying to get that position just bulked up a bit because.
As much as
Why are we signing Hein to send him out on loan?
No, but I understand that because we remember we saw Hein come in, clearly not ready yet for
But
the
this
first
guy
team.
worth 50k ain't ready either.
No, but he's I've seen when he's been in goal for Wolves, he stood in, 30s experience.
he's all right, played quite well against us.
Yeah, you know what I mean. Like whereas Hein's a kid, isn't he? He needs to go out and learn more. You know, I see it does make sense. You know what I mean. Look, you've got what's the guy who's the third choice at City again? He's won all
Scott Carson.
Scott Carson. Look how many medals he's won in third choice, right? But he's an experienced guy. So if an injury or something like that, you need someone who's going to have a lot of experience who could come in and actually have to play a certain, a few games.
We did the same with Matt Ryan when we brought him in. Came in for I think 1 year.
6 months.
Yeah.
6 months. Played a couple of games. Was all right.
How do you know he's not backup choice though?
Ornstein said that he's coming as third choice. I actually have to agree with Robbie. I think it makes complete sense because the 50 grand thing's funny, but ultimately Wolves want around $1 million, and I think that's probably quite fair for a player who's just filling a gap in the squad. Hein, I don't think would have signed the new deal. Unlike Raw Walters just signed for Luton. Cozy Dubry just went to Brighton. I think Hein's another one who wouldn't have signed unless there was some promise of a loan and a path forward. He's a homegrown player, Bentley, which helps there. He's worked with Iñaki Kanya because Kanya will only sign goalkeepers he's worked with. That might not necessarily be true, but if a lot of these players have done. I just think it's a sensible third choice. And Ramsdale's situation, I don't think is anywhere close to being resolved. You've got a goalkeeper who's 30, he's experienced. If there's an injury crisis, he's played some Premier League football. He was pretty good in the Championship. And yeah, it's just apparently he's a really
50 grand. No.
honestly, good character and all that. So far,
My bad, because on my show this morning I was laughing at 500 grand. £50,000. I've never heard like a big that low.
There's the tweet from Sky Sports. They're not the only ones saying it.
Jesus.
But again, I think that is what they paid for him a year ago. So I think with a year left on his contract, I think Arsenal have gone cool.
Just trying to be shrewd.
Yeah, pay you what he's worth.
It doesn't make sense that Arsenal could possibly sign a first team player for 50 grand. Like, it's a ridiculous number.
But he won't be. He'll be. He's number
But he would. He'd be in the first team squad.
I guess, but yeah.
For 50 grand.
Yeah. Basically.
What's he going to be on a week then? A fiver?
I mean, what it is what does make me laugh, apart from a 50 grand offer, is that we can't go a summer without signing a goalkeeper. Like, Arteta loves signing goalkeepers, and I think it's a little bit a case of we've never really just settled in that position. But we've announced that under-18s goalkeeper in the academy, he's one. David Raya got announced. If Ramsdale leaves, there's another, and then Bentley. So we could announce 4 goalkeepers in one summer.
And we're actually linked to...
you said we needed 4 signings. There you go.
Yeah,
we're actually linked to Andre Lunin as well, who was the goalkeeper that stood in for Courtois most of the season for Real Madrid. He'd done brilliantly. He didn't get to keep in the final because Courtois came back, but he's been brilliant all the way through. Ukrainian keeper. We were linked with a move for him as well for around about 15 to 20 million. So that could be another goalkeeper that we could be signing, because I think possibly if Ramsdale goes, they will move for him. So a lot of keepers.
Well, that's the thing, but what happens with Ramsdale, I just have a feeling that the Euros has gone now. He kept his place in the England squad, although of course isn't number 1. I don't think Chelsea are in the market for a goalkeeper. I don't think Newcastle will be in the market for him. I don't think clubs outside the Premier League will pay what we want for Aaron Ramsdale. So I think Ramsdale stays another season. What do you think?
I think it gets resolved pretty quickly after the Euros.
Do you?
Yeah, I think he deserves to play first team football somewhere.
I agree with all that, but who pays the money?
I think someone will pay it if it's a top 10 club, hopefully.
They're talking about they want 40 to 50 million for him.
I don't think they get that. I think they get maybe 30, 35.
But setting that target so high shows me that they're not in a hurry to sell him.
I just think it's a bit unfair to keep him. And I know, obviously, it's top level football. It's not about fair. He's on his money, blah, blah, blah. But he was first choice, made the team of the season. Raya comes in, all right, second choice. That's the reason he's not playing for England. Because I do think if he played for Arsenal this whole season and again was in team of the season, I think he would be starting in the Euros potentially for England right now. So to do that again to him for another year.
Well, you say do that again to him, but it's
a problem.
He played for Arsenal. I mean, it's competition.
It is, yeah.
I know we keep saying that, like, to do that to him, he deserves to play. No, he don't deserve to play because Raya's come in and he's actually been very, very good and won the Golden Glove. So he's either got to earn back his position. I know it's really difficult when you're a goalkeeper, but I don't think Arsenal are under any obligation to say, all right, this guy deserves to play, so let's just sell him for next to nothing. Get the money that you wouldn't do that in any other position. Get the money that you think should be paid for him, and if not, then he stays on as number 2.
But the only thing,
as harsh as it is,
no, he's not a good number 2 though.
Huh?
He's not a good number 2.
Huh? You don't think he's because when he needs to play week in, week out?
Yeah, man. Last year he was terrible when he came in. Yeah. Awful.
But that's the thing about him. The longer you keep him and he's playing as a number 2 and he's making mistakes, his value's going to go down and down. And then what he's going to run out his contract, we're going to get.
That's why it's a problem Arteta, created for himself. Like, we're going to have to bite the bullet on it. We're not going to get 40, 50 more, and if we keep him, his value is more likely to go down than it is up.
But that's why I think he goes, because it's literally just going to keep decreasing until he leaves for free, or we get 5 mil or 10 mil.
Someone, and it's really harsh to say it, maybe every player we look to sell, someone needs to be the benchmark for Arsenal, the redirecting of the market. I think people see Arsenal as a bit of a, what the hell do I know, right? I'm not involved in these negotiations. But we have sold players for less than I believe they're worth in the last few years. We've cancelled contracts, we've let players go on a free. I think it comes to a point where you need to use someone as the example. So yes, Ramsdale, we want 40 million, and maybe next summer we only get 15. But at least the clubs that came in from this summer didn't get him. We made a point. If you're not going to pay up, his value, might be different a year, but you have to wait a year. And I think...
Didn't we supposedly do this with Eddie and Ainsley Maitland-Niles and people like Bellerin, and in the end, look what we got for them.
But I think with all due respect, Arsenal were in a much worse place, and they were much worse players. Ramsdale's stock is up there.
Not anymore, it's not.
Do you not think so?
No.
I think it definitely is.
I do. I think his stock's up there. It's just that every club at the moment's got a keeper. So, but I do think his stock is up there, and I do think Arsenal are right. If you're going to pay decent money for him, then stay as number 2.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of games coming up next season as well. Champions League, longer format. He could get the FA Cup games and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
You're right. More Champions League games that might play a part.
Yeah, he's not playing Champions League though.
No, but when it was 6 games and it was the group stage and you knew the situation, maybe with 8 games you're stretching through the whole season. I don't know, maybe more.
You mean as if there's more dead rubber games if you've qualified with 2-3 games to go, kind of thing?
Yeah, but then thinking about it, I'm not really sure it's going to go that way because everyone's in the same league format, so it probably won't go that way. But
I don't think he gets Champions League minutes. I don't think he gets Premier League minutes.
No.
Raya's not tied to Brentford anymore, so he can play against Brentford. FA Cup, Carabao, yeah. But do we stay in those? Do we go out early again? I don't know. Like Turkish, I think his stock's going down. I think now, if you get 30, 35, I'd let him go.
Oh yeah, if you can get 30,
35, but teams have been coming and talking about 25, and I wouldn't sell him for that.
No, I hear it. But yeah, anyway, Dan Bentley, let's see what happens there, because at the moment it's Dan Bentley and Calafiori that seem the closest to actually even coming in. David Ornstein was the one who gave us the news on Arsenal making a approach. And I always say this, you can notice patterns. I keep saying this, you notice patterns when you follow transfers every summer. David Ornstein's the kind of journalist that when he talks about something, there's something in it, it's likely going to pick up speed. Within a few days of him saying we made contact over Bentley, he says that we've made this bid. It's not the most exciting of transfers, feels like just a necessary one to get done, but it is something that's happening. Calafiori, though, much more covered by Fabrizio Romano in Italian press, though of course English media have talked about it as well. This is a case of apparently the updates today from Di Marzio were that Arsenal have offered 40 million plus add-ons, which is a 50 million euro package apparently, but Bologna want more, near 50 million plus the add-ons to that. They might be ironing it out. Apparently Calafiori's on holiday at the moment. What do you think, Robbie, about the pace of this deal? Because a week ago when we did this show, it felt relentless. Like there was a lot going on, and every day, almost every 4 or 5 hours, we had big updates. It's slowed down massively. Not to the point where everyone's saying there's anything to worry about. No one's saying the deal's off or anything like that. But Arsenal don't ever do these things quickly, is the one thing I'd say.
No, we never do it quickly. I do feel in this case as well, like Bologna are trying to get as much money as they possibly can because they've got to give half of it to Basel.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Which is the club that he was at before, and they got like nearly a 50% sell-on clause. So they need as much money as they can possibly get, even if it comes down, we were laughing about 50,000, but if it's coming down to the matter of a couple mil, that makes a difference in this deal for them. So I think that's what's sort of maybe holding it up a bit. But I do expect for this to get done. There is nobody else really in for him.
No, I was worried about Juve. Nothing's really happened with that.
I remember I said to you on a couple of shows before, they ain't selling to Juve because they're already really upset with Juve for taking their manager.
Yeah.
So they were never going to deal with Juve. He doesn't want to go to Chelsea. They've got no Champions League football. So, and he'd already decided on Arsenal and not say Liverpool. So I can't see, unless there was to be a problem with medicals or anything like this, I see this one going through.
Yeah, let's keep an eye on the Calafiori one. Not much more to update on that other than, we haven't had your thoughts on it.
No, I was going to say, the only thing that worries me about that deal is his injury record. But maybe we're doing a little double bluff, because the players we brought in, Thomas Partey we brought in, immaculate injury record at Atletico. Obviously we know what happened to him at Arsenal. Tomiyasu, good injury record, we know what happened to him at Arsenal. So maybe we're going for a player that has a bad injury record, so we can reverse it and he'll do all right.
Clever.
But
what a transfer strategy.
Don't get me wrong. But there's a little inside, I don't know what to call it, but Arteta and Motta played together at Barcelona, and apparently they have a really good relationship. Yeah. So obviously he's gone to Juventus now. I assume they speak. So he's obviously said to him he's a top player. Arteta cares about the person as well as the player. It must be a top professional, obviously a respectable guy. Personally, I'd never seen much of him before the Euros, but it impressed me in the Euros, especially in the last game.
You're on something.
Last group game.
It might have been Ornstein, I can't remember, but journalists have talked about the relationship between Arteta and Motta, and that either they said or they suggested that there probably were conversations about the player long before. I mean, we did an In Focus, and in that, go watch it, it's out on the channel now. The way Motta played with his centre-backs, it was a 4-2-3-1, but their centre-backs often had midfield roles. They were asked to do the Stones thing at times. They were asked to, get into a particular shape when defending transitions. It's all stuff that, when watching the breakdown on it, I think Meta Football did a good one on it. I was watching it going, Arteta would adopt these principles and Calafiori would fit in well. So I'm all for it, and I think you're right about the personality. So let's see. On the injury front, though, I will say, he had a really bad injury that I think affected him for a few years after when he came back, but he's got a pretty clean record for the last 2 full seasons. Yeah,
it's just knees. When I hear knees,
I'm
a bit like, I've torn my ACL myself and I've got back to play and I know what it's like to have a knee thing. It happened with Bellerin. I think he's the prime example as an Arsenal fan you can look at.
I think he was he had a massive fall off after the ACL.
For problem. Sure. So when I hear knees, you can see it with Jesus now, you're always worried about something. But then watching him play for Italy doesn't look like he's got anything to worry about.
Yeah. So. You talked about this because you had a meniscus problem as well.
Knees. I mean, you never recover 100% from knee injuries and ops. Never. And it's a mental thing with knee injuries.
Yeah, it is for sure.
What was it with Calafiori? ACL as well?
No, so I was talking to a guy called Alex Forder, who's got a really good channel, Forder on Football. You were chatting to him. He called in on Playback.
Oh, yes.
He was saying, because he researched into it, he smashed everything. like ACL, MCL, whatever it is. Like,
sound,
and
he will feel that again in his life.
Well, apparently, do you remember I sent you a clip of the footage of it, and apparently they didn't think he was going to play football again. And
he'll start
and
feeling that again at some point.
He will. The younger you do it, the better, because obviously you're still growing into it. It can repair
was
back
18,
stronger.
I think,
So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, obviously, we hope it gets done, because watching him for Italy, I'd never have known he had that kind of injury history.
Just one more question on this. Do you think we're signing him to play left back? Or do you think we're signing to start as left back? Because that means Timber's.
I think in the short term, he's the solution at left back. I think medium to long term, Arteta is going to be very tempted by him at centre back.
Didn't Ornstein say something about he needs to convince the hierarchy that?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
What's that about?
Just said, well, slightly conflicting reports, because Romano and others in Italy are saying the conversations are going on, it's moving along. And it's not just them. English media have said that too. I think Charles Watts did. Ornstein poured a little bit of cold water on it. Just said, look, they really like him. He's definitely the primary target. But you know, there might need to be a sale, whether it's before or after. Of course, we assume Kivior. And what else did he say? That basically he might have to convince the board. But Arteta always gets what he wants. I mean, there were rumours that not everyone was sold on doing the Raya deal, but Arteta's the boss.
I've got this little sly. I hope I'm wrong, and I think I am wrong. Last year when we signed Raya, right, no one saw a problem with Ramsdale. Everyone was like, "What are you doing? You've got a keeper right there." At the start of last season, we saw Gabriel out of the team for a bit, right? Whether that was because there was links to Saudi, because there was bids from places, we still don't know the reason. So there's a little thing in my mind that says to me, we might be signing him as a Gabriel replacement. And maybe
you're
I'm wrong.
not the first to suggest this.
He was out of the team for a reason. We don't know why. Maybe there was
we do know that part of it was because of the transfer approaches.
So if there is another transfer approach, and we've got this guy who's potentially as good as Gabriel, maybe better, and there's 80 million come from somewhere, that could be a thing that Gabriel might move on. He might be coming in to play left centre back. I don't know. But could be something in that.
I hope not, because I love Gabriel, but you're not the first to suggest it, and I think some people are wondering about that. One of the things, again, we talked on in Focus was, do you get a situation which Calafiori plays centre-back with Saliba, Timber's still your left-back? If he moves into midfield, Calafiori, we know Arteta likes to get that extra player from somewhere. Then you end up with the back three of Timber, Saliba, White, which he actually started last season with. So I don't think Arteta drops these ideas that quickly. So let's see. Lots of comments and super chats coming through. So as I get them ready, let me just ask everyone about the Nuno Tavares deal. He is off to Lazio. I covered this on what was a crazy morning yesterday, I think, in terms of just quite a lot of official reports coming through, and Tavares making his way out was one of them. Straight to you, Turkish. I mean, 7 to 8 million euros is about what I'd expect to get from him. I know it's a loan with an obligation, but that's as good as a sale as far as I'm concerned. That's about what I've expected to get from him.
Well, we paid 8 for him, innit?
Yeah.
He hasn't improved. Hasn't really regressed either. We knew he was a wild card type of player. So it's good to get 8 million back. But a waste of time, though.
A little bit.
Time.
There was potential in Nuno Tavares. I think he was too raw. Bro, I saw the guy pick the ball up at left back at the Emirates and run the whole pitch, and then blast it in Rosette. Like, that's just the kind of player he was. He was raw, but I think it also sums up Arsenal's selling ability a little bit, because we sold Amari Hutchinson to Chelsea for free, and then they sold him for 20 mil. We bought Nuno Tavares, played big parts of seasons for Arsenal. He went to Marseille, right, on loan.
Yeah.
Played quite well, scored some goals. We sold him for 8 million. Like,
Mate,
it's just
his club, his CV is Benfica, Arsenal, Marseille, Nottingham Forest, Lazio.
And he's got Portugal under 21.
That's not bad. It's not a bad CV.
Yeah.
Like, I do think that kind of raw something about him, skill set, is something that clubs go, do you know what, worth a go.
Work out.
Yeah.
He's got the ability. People think they can work with him, but he's got no end product. Zero end product, and that's his problem.
Comment of the day goes to Jeff Shreves, probably not the real, well, maybe you are called Jeff Shreves, but you know, the Sky Sports commentator, who says Dan Bentley cost more than Mbappe. And he's absolutely spot on. Transfer fees anyway. Update from David Ornstein came in 30 minutes ago, but it's not Arsenal related.
No,
Jurgen Klopp has rebuffed approach to become USA head coach. Initial contact through intermediaries last week, opportunity politely declined.
See that? When after the second game, I said that they should go and ask him about the England job.
Yeah.
Right? People are like, he never even considered that. So
why not? Lives in England, loves Liverpool. It's a pretty chill job compared to. Well, it's not
got the
chill job.
ingredients for success.
Yeah.
Did he not just leave though? Didn't he build a holiday home somewhere? He's gone to live
Oh, maybe. He deserves a
in
break.
Germany or something.
All right, let's go into your super chats, and then we're going to have the big midfield debate. Eze or Merino, or both, as some of you are saying. Let's go through, the super chats. Abdullah says, I know I'm allowed to swear on the stream, aren't I? Something the bed last season when called up, but wouldn't you rather Ramsdale over an injured Raya in a Champions League away trip than an unexperienced goalkeeper?
Nah, man. Ramsdale's... Look at what he did when he came in last season. How many games did he mess about in and didn't have many starts?
Yeah, he had a few bad ones. He
Terrible ones. Just wasn't...
Struggled against Brentford a lot.
Wasn't punished for it.
Yeah.
Brentford a couple of times, and there was another one.
So there's Brentford home, Brentford away. I actually remember as well if Raya wasn't official, we knew we were signing him. It was when we went 1-0 down at home to Fulham.
Saka, back pass.
Yeah.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
was
As far as I'm concerned,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
shouldn't be beaten like
100%.
that. But yeah. Abdullah says we bought Ramsdale for 25 million. Not bad for a good number 2. I've said this super chat 10 times. Moses says, what's up AFTV? Should Arsenal push Martinelli to the 9 and get Nico Williams? Forget getting a striker and focus on a proper 6-8 to play alongside Rice. What do you think? Martinelli future up front?
No.
No?
You can play that, but
Yeah, he came in. He was a striker when he came in. Obviously, transitioned to the left. I'm
why
not
not
sure.
get Nico Williams and put the two of them in competition?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I love Nico Williams. I'd love to get him, but yeah, I don't think Martinelli's clinical enough to play as a 9.
Martinelli can play up front. I think he's quite good back to goal. He's got that ability to look after the ball, turn a player, but I just don't think that should be the plan. I think if we have to do it every now and again, we can do it. But Arteta's also never wanted to do it. He's played Havertz, Nketiah, Trossard, Jesus. He's played everyone up there before turning to Martinelli.
Smith Rowe. Started Smith Rowe up there.
Smith Rowe, false 9,
Yeah,
Vieira,
exactly.
false 9. Yeah, I don't think that's in his plans at all. Brandon says, whoever the hell runs outgoings for Chelsea, we need them at Arsenal. Of course, they've just let Hutchinson go for over 20 million. Josh says, read online that our latest proposal would give Bologna 18 million for the player that they bought for 4 million. Feels more than fair to me. Well, so 18, so you double that, you got 36 million. Yeah.
They're getting stripped though.
I say double that because obviously the rest are going to Barca.
They lost their manager.
Mm-hmm.
They're losing Xerxes.
Yeah.
Xerxes, is that his name? To United. They just got Champions League. I think it's their first time in their history in the Champions League.
Okay.
They're losing their 2 best players and their manager.
Yeah. Abdullah says, is Arteta going for 4 full-backs who are natural centre-backs so he can switch to back 3 with whoever is on the pitch? Timber, Bentley, Calafiori, Zini can all invert and leave behind a solid back 3. Yeah, I think he's got a very clear vision for the full-back in his mind.
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah, I think
You
so.
can see it over time anyway. It's not this move that we need to see his idea.
Yeah, I totally agree. And again, I know I keep promoting this video, but in Focus, we literally had the 7 players and we just made up. You could probably make like 8, 9, 10 different setups for the back 4 that you'd be happy with. Whether you could go Tomiyasu right back, White, Gabriel, Timber left back. And that is a great back 4 without having White at right back, Saliba in the team, Calafiori. You could do a lot of things. So yeah, I think Arsenal will be well equipped in defence next season, especially if we get Calafiori done, even if Kivior's to move on. All right, so let's talk about the main. Yeah, we've got we'll go for another 20 minutes or so, I think. Would love to know all your thoughts in the comment section below. Eze, Merino. I did a poll on Twitter. We're going to run a poll on this live stream now. Now, the reason I put them up against each other is not because I think they're similar players. It's quite the opposite. They're pretty different in the way they'd be used, in the way they play. You've got one who's 26 and Eze, 28-year-old Merino, more of an 8/defence midfielder. Eze, much more of a 10/wide player. Been linked with both. £52 million release clause for Merino, but a year left on his contract. Eze, on the other hand, has got 3 more years on his contract, but a £60 million release clause as well. What direction should Arsenal be looking to go for this midfield position? I'll go to you, Robbie, first. What are you thinking?
It's a difficult one. I absolutely love Eze. I think he's a great player. Remember when he came to the Emirates, he was mesmerising. Even though he thrashed them, he stood out. But then when you're looking at balance-wise, we've never replaced Granit Xhaka. We tried Havertz in that position last year. And I think Merino would be a direct replacement in the area, sort of box to box, get something down the pitch. Got a lot of quality on the ball. We saw that great goal he scored the other night for Spain that got them through to the semi-finals. So, I love Eze, man. He's such a good player. He's Premier League ready. I'd have to go Eze.
Eze for you?
Eze is more rotation option though for me, man.
You think?
Yeah, I like Eze, but yeah, I think he comes in more as competition, whereas Merino probably comes in more to fill the gap in midfield.
Competition for who?
I'd say a mix of Odegaard, and he can play off the wings as well. Odegaard, 8, maybe Saka, maybe Martinelli. He can play across the front 4 as well.
Yeah.
Whereas Merino comes in specialist position, you know it's going to be Rice, Merino, Odegaard. I like the sound of a final piece of the 11 puzzle than you know, another piece to the 25 puzzle.
You can see Odegaard, Rice, Eze.
I can, but it doesn't feel right. It doesn't.
No, I'm with you.
It leans more towards attacking than it does balance. Which, listen, I don't mind a bit more attack, but you know, we score a hell of a lot of goals already, and if you're going to compromise the balance, is Eze the player to compromise that balance for? You know, there's only a few players in this world that you might compromise the balance for, and Eze is not one of them.
Where are you with it, Christian?
I see Eze as more of a winger.
Yeah.
I think a lot of last year he played out on the left for Palace. I think when we see him for England, he's coming in on the left. I don't know too much about Merino. Obviously, I watch Eze every week in the league. I was at the game where we beat him 5-0 and he stood out. They lost 5-0.
Yeah.
And he stood out to Arsenal fans. So it tells you something about the player. I think you see interviews, people talk about him as well. He's a good character, which, like I said, Arteta cares about. And yeah, I think he'd add quality. If he can play in the 8 and he can play on the left, and we sell Smith Rowe, I think he's almost a direct replacement for Smith Rowe as well. So yeah, I would go for Eze. But I would also look to get someone else in the 8. In my opinion, he's not filling that space. He would be Martinelli competition on the left for me.
But Arsenal have decisions. I mean, I see it as at a surface level, you improve the forward line, you improve midfield, you improve the back 4. And then the question becomes, well, are you getting an out-and-out left-back, or are you getting a centre-back / left-back? And they seem to have gone that way with Calafiori. Now in midfield, are you going to get an 8, an all-round midfielder? Are you looking at more 10? Are you looking at more 6? And then I feel like how you address those almost impacts the rest of the pitch, because if you sign Eze and he's the midfield addition you want to make, then you don't need another wide player, because he can play there.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
for me, the focus then has to be you get another striker.
Yeah.
You get an out-and-out 9, because, you know, and then if Partey goes, well, you haven't actually added another 8 / central midfielder. So it's almost like, well, then that other midfielder comes in, needs to be an out-and-out 6 then. It's weird. I feel like they all have an impact on the other, because Arteta loves versatile players, but then with versatility, he's got to come an acknowledgement of, well, what positions are they covering? With Merino, I've got to be honest, I was leaning with you, which is Merino, because it just feels like your 11 is done. Like Merino, Rice, Odegaard, the balance is like, mwah, perfect. But I was watching Eze's sort of highlights from last season in particular. He's got exactly what this team's missing. That ball striking ability. When it doesn't feel like there's a threat, it doesn't feel like a lot's going on, you're on the edge of the area, you feel like, all right, they're attacking us, we can defend this. And Eze just wallops it, top corner, each corner, right foot, left foot, drives into the box, takes players on, like highlight, timeline goals, clippable goals. The moments that you go, I could see Arsenal having a bad day, and then putting that out. How often does an Arsenal player pull out that moment where we're not doing well? I've sort of seen those moments when we are playing well. But I think Eze's just got that match-defining quality.
He has.
And I'm like, well, we need both. But if we were to get both, then I could stomach not adding another winger. I'm all right with it being Eze, Saka, and then a 9, or Havertz, or Jesus, or whatever. I could live with that personally.
Yeah. He's a flair player. I think if you watch him, just getting on the ball and taking a couple of touches, you can see the quality already. So it would be an exciting signing. I'd love to see him at Arsenal. He was at Arsenal, obviously, when he was a kid. So it seems like
famous. He said he cried his eyes out when they let him go.
Well, exactly. Bring him back. Wes Bird in the comments says, so both then, James. Yeah, I mean, but we don't live in this like perfect world where
Both profiles. I wouldn't say both players.
Yeah.
Really.
yeah,
It's not.
well, but then like we said, it comes with the trade-off somewhere. I'd love to say Arsenal.
Yeah, but Kudus is the guy that you'd want if you're thinking about an Eze where he can
Yes.
play in multiple positions. And
Yes.
so I'd say both profiles are a must.
Mm-hmm.
But those are not the players that I'd stick in terms of if you ask me, all right, that's the profile, who's the player?
Mm-hmm. Do either of those players take us closer to City? Do you guys think?
I think Eze does.
Marino.
It's hard to
both
say,
do.
Oh,
man.
no, actually.
Arteta's bought players that I didn't think.
No,
of.
Eze.
I think Eze does because
Eze.
he brings that depth. If he is to play in the 8 or left wing, I think if Martinelli's injured or Martinelli plays in the 9 or wherever, and you bring Eze in, it's not a drop-off. And I said this when we did our last show. There's one team in the country we're chasing, right, which is Manchester City. They've been the benchmark for the last 2 years, and we're getting closer and closer. The way I'm assessing players now is, would this player get on Man City's bench? So for the players that I want to get rid of are players that I don't think would. So Reece Nelson, Smith Rowe, Eddie Nketiah, I don't think they'd get near City's squad. I think Eze would get on City's bench. I think he could even push the start on the left over Doku, over Grealish.
Yeah.
So for me, that's a quality player that would add top quality to our team.
I asked the question, do either player improve Arsenal and get us close to City? I think they do for totally different reasons. Eze, because of a skill set I don't think we have. Like, I think Saka can, obviously Saka can dribble, take players on, make moments happen, like we did against Switzerland. Eze has a frequency, and honestly, I ask you all to go and just watch Eze's goals from last season. I think you'll just be a bit taken aback by how many great goals. And I had to stop and be like, is this his whole catalogue at Palace? And it was just this season. So I think Eze does add something there. And also, you don't want just one player who can do it. They've got Foden, De Bruyne, Rodri. They can all pull out these moments. So I think we definitely need that in Eze. And I think that's where he adds something that does take us closer. Merino, I almost think we're one balanced player away from going up levels. It sounds silly, but basically, if we added Xhaka back,
Yeah,
if
I'm
we,
literally just thinking the same.
I think we suddenly balance is just everything. I think Arsenal, as well as they did last season, balance was always something off. Whether it's a centre back, a left back, and Kivior, whether it's we've put Rice at the 8 to do a job and he did well, but we had to do with Jorginho. Partey wasn't quite right, or whatever it was. Jesus had to play wide. There's always something that felt a touch and balance about Arsenal. And if they get that right, I think we go up levels personally.
I agree. We need a midfield position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that.
Eze for me.
Eze for you. Should we get the votes? 70% want Eze.
Yeah, I like
30%
Eze.
say
Eze's
Marino.
quality.
See that clip of Ollie Watkins? I'd never seen it until this morning or last night, where he said, "My dream is to play for Arsenal."
Yeah, I saw that years ago. Yeah. There you go.
I've been preaching Ollie Watkins since.
What would he cost? 100 million?
No,
It'd be more than that.
more than 100 mil.
Yeah.
I think Villa would make
Villa
it
would not
very
sell.
difficult.
Would not listen. Villa will look around. They'll see what Osimhen's going for. They'll see what Victor Gyökeres is wanted for, and they're going to bump it.
Euros as well.
Euros.
He's popped up.
Yeah, definitely.
That
went up 20
goal
mil
just
last
added
night.
20 million. Whatever you thought he was, that goal added
Yeah,
20
I
I
million.
think they've won about 120 mil.
I mean, if you're going to pay 120 mil for him, you might as well get Isak.
Yeah, I agree.
If you can get.
Yeah.
for 120.
Agreed. All right, let's run off the show with some chat on sales because things are picking up there. We chatted about Aaron Ramsdale. Everything is slow on that end. But Eddie Nketiah, Marseille supposedly in. De Zerbi liked him at Brighton and apparently would want to bring him in now.
What happened to all this English interest in him?
Don't-
What's going on? Why Marseille all of a sudden? I thought an abundance of English clubs.
No,
wanted him.
there are a bunch of English clubs. There are a lot of clubs interested.
Let's see it. Let's see what happens.
These two are going to scrap.
Let's see what happens.
Scrap right here.
Salzburg will come in next, and then that's it.
Better than Yilmaz.
You know,
He's actually linked to Arsenal this week.
Yilmaz would be a good sign, but now we're on the he looks like Guardiola, I didn't notice it before.
Yes.
He
You
looks
do,
like Guardiola.
I've had a lot of stuff on here, man. You know, the first time I came on,
Yeah.
they called me El Neni.
Nah, this one is. You know the Turkish.
Guardiola,
Yeah.
Oh, that's a shout.
That's mad.
That's a shout, man.
Cecil will get you into body doubling,
Take it, man. Let's go. Cecil, I'm ready. Do some sprints.
No, but you see Yilmaz, Turkish bias aside, yeah, he comes on and he adds energy and electricity to the three positions up
Bit like
top.
Eddie.
Ah, you just ruined it. Forget it, don't worry.
All right, so you're going to say?
Marseille Eddie.
Anyway.
He's a good player off the bench, Yilmaz would be.
But listen, Eddie's got Marseille, was it West Ham? He's got a lot of clubs that are looking at him. Palace,
Decisions.
Fulham.
You know, if Eddie plays
He's
for
gonna
Chelsea, they'd go for 45, 50 mil. 100%. 20 million for Amari Hutchinson. We're looking at, what, 20 mil for Nketiah to move on? 25 mil?
I think the only thing with the Amari Hutchinson thing, he played a full season at Ipswich. They wanted him. So that's why they were able to bump that price.
They got 65 million.
I do think they'll get about. I can see them getting 30 for Eddie.
Well, here's the update from Team Talk, who said that Arsenal will reject Marseille's impending £20 million offer for Nketiah. The Ligue 1 side have been given some encouragement. A deal is there to be done. They understand that Arsenal slapped a £40 million price tag on Nketiah. Team Talk, Fraser Fletcher Gillen.
But you're right.
Cross-sponsor Team Talk and BBC Scotland News.
Chelsea selling these players for big money. Like, I want to see. I also stick to it. These fees that they're talking about, like Ramsdale for Eddie or something, stick to it.
Yeah. How much did we get for Balogun?
37 million.
Yeah, that was a good price.
I keep saying it.
Really
that
good
has
money.
aged
All profit.
so well.
Yeah.
That has aged so well.
If I remember rightly, I was having an argument with a certain person who I
still would have kept Balogun over.
right, sell Balogun. They're very similar players. You're going to get that big money from him. And it's a similar thing. He's played a full season. A bit like what we were saying to Amari Hutchinson. He played a full season. Monaco had seen him, what he was doing, and they wanted him.
Yeah, Eddie had that chance at Leeds. And
I think if Eddie plays a full season,
he was behind
he
Bamford.
didn't play a full season at Leeds.
Yeah, that's because
He left the season. He left it to Christmas. Stop the hate, man.
I'm not hating. Listen,
He left. He was in the January window. He left. We all know Eddie is not the guy at Arsenal that we need to score us the goals. But I do think if he goes to another club, I can see him getting 15 to 20 goals.
We're going to find that.
You couldn't?
Guess we are
I don't know
going
about
to
50 to 20.
You say?
I think
I
so.
guess we are going to find out.
What did he score last year?
I think he scored a bag of
5,
goals.
6.
5.
Yeah, 5.
So if he gets a full season somewhere, I can see it.
No,
15
but imagine
to
the
20.
service he gets at Arsenal. He's not going to get that at another club.
15 to 20. I've seen players that, everybody was like, Solanke. Everyone was laughing at when he was at Chelsea, right?
I think he's a better player than
Blazing up.
Eddie Nketiah.
We haven't
Ollie Watkins got 19.
We haven't seen enough of Eddie to see what, because I do think if he goes to a team like that, it's going to suit him better.
I think he'll score goals.
I think he'll score goals. I think he's,
just
you know what I mean? I said at the
isn't suited to what we
time,
need.
his goal scoring record at youth levels was excellent. England under 21 level was excellent. He broke records.
That's why I was disappointed, because I feel like he had a lot of chances at Arsenal to cement that position.
Yeah, Arsenal's a different kettle of fish because you're playing now, you miss one chance, everyone's on you. You've got people like Turkish, you know what I mean? If you're under the radar team, like a Fulham or something like that, you can miss a few, what a lucky son, you know what I mean? Keep going, keep plugging away, you know what I mean? You don't get that here, you know what I mean? You get people like Turkey.
Marseille, man, let's slap 5 more mil on there and we're good, man.
I don't, the Marseille thing, I just feel that he's going to go in the Premier League. If I was him, I think he can get a Premier League club. I don't think he needs to go to Marseille.
I think it's a good move for him. Marseille's a massive club. I think he'll score loads of goals, and then I think he'll come back to the Premier League in 2 years. Work under De Zerbi, similar sort of methods as a coach to Arteta in terms of the style of football. I think it's a good move for him. See if it gets done.
I think Premier League club, I can see him going Fulham or one of those sorts of teams.
Yeah. Speaking of,
I think that's
Fulham Smith Rowe stuff is really hotting up at the moment.
Yeah.
I think that picks up pace in the next week.
I'm surprised it hasn't been done. The window's been open for a bit. They haven't got many players at the Euros. I think Polina was the only player. Could be wrong.
Maybe they were waiting on the sale of that because he's just
gone.
That's true. He's just joined.
Maybe they need to raise
That's
funds,
a good point. And I didn't think of that. And also there were PSR concerns up to a week ago, and now all that chat's obviously died down. So let's go through super chats. Jay says João Gomez is the one for our midfield. He's the perfect glue guy. Could be our Gundogan and Ødegaard for De Bruyne.
Spoke about it on my show this morning.
Good, yeah.
Like him, good player, very good player. But how much would that be? You know what I mean? They only bought him last year. they would want a lot of money. I mean, the rumours are 50, 60 mil.
And also, Wolves aren't that happy with us after our Bentley bid. So I don't think we've made a great start to negotiation.
We're chucking another 100 grand for him. But I just feel that he's a top quality player, you know, I mean, with a lot of potential, but they're going to want it. Yeah, and the fact that they signed Max Kilman, they've got a little money in now. They're not as looking in a bad shape as they were before.
Of course.
It might be difficult to get that done.
Right.
Maybe a little swap deal, Smith Rowe, plus money. I think Smith Rowe would fit in at Wolves.
I could do it.
Yeah, but would he want to go there?
I think it's a good move for him.
I think it is. Wolves and Fulham ain't too far apart in terms of the level they're at. Wolves have got quality players.
He then goes on to say, Jay, I think Joe Gomez is crucial to unlock our team and would be the perfect partner for Rice. Baldo says, when will Arsenal sign Draxler? He's €5. Oh, he sent a €5 super chat, thank you. These €5 are for Arsenal to improve their 50,000 goalkeeper offer. If we stick together, we can get it done. Abdullah says, I think we keep Partey for the final year, won't get much from him anyway. I think it means fee-wise, off him anyway. Get Onana for 50 million. We have him integrated into Partey's spot.
Yeah,
that's gone really
Partey
quiet.
Yeah.
When we did the top 5 wish list, I put him as number 2. I think he's brilliant, man.
Onana.
He's again a player that I watched. We watched the last day of the season at the Emirates, just bossing the midfield.
Yeah,
we know he can do it. Obviously, he starts with Belgium.
Don't Saudi want none of our players done, man? What's going on over there?
They're looking at Partey, right?
Yeah, apparently. Owen says, if we sell Saliba to Madrid, just hand them the Champions League trophy for the next 5 years. Almost all their great players are 25 and under. How can you stop them? Go on, I trust us to find a way. Won't be easy, though. But Saliba's not going anywhere. Just signed a new contract. And quite frankly, I'd make him...
He hasn't just signed a new contract anymore.
It was a year ago.
We go another season without a trophy, trust me. We'll all be here same time next season talking about contract because there'll be a few on 2 years.
Yeah, we'll be treble winners by then.
Big
It's
teams will come
fine.
sniffing.
Listen, I was chatting to somebody about that the other day where, you know, they were saying Real Madrid next year, they will come for him. And I do think they will. They'll come for Saliba. If he has another season like what he did last season,
they will.
and he's like, no. I said, listen, even Saka, these guys, we need to start winning things now. Yeah? We're going to keep hold of these guys.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, there will come a time when those clubs are going to come sniffing and, you know, Real Madrid come calling to Saliba. It's a good job we got him on a long contract because it is tempting to... You're any footballer, Real Madrid is tempting.
It's true.
The amount of things you know you're going to win.
Of course. The players you're going to play with.
It's an attractive proposition now. You know what I mean? You go there, you're playing with Mbappe and Endrick and all these players. So we do really need to start.
And they're going to need to replace Rudiger next year.
Yeah.
Well, Nacho's going as well, isn't he?
Yeah. Isn't Nacho gone now?
Yeah. So I think the Champions League final was the last game.
Robert with a comment says, AFTV announcing Ferdi Kadioglu on the couch. Welcome, Ferdi.
By the way, he looked... I'm surprised that... Well, maybe with his Calafiori thing and that, but he looks a baller, man. That's the most impressive player for me in that Turkish team, and he looked good in every single game.
He was.
And he'd look like a perfect player for us.
He'll get a move.
You know, a lot of players in that left-hand side now, isn't it?
Timber, man. He's like Timber, so we've got that profile already.
Yep. All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up there. The comments did have 71% of the votes for Eze, 29% for Merino. Last thing to just quickly say out as a line, which is that Reece Nelson been linked to the move to West Ham, so we'll see if anything happens there. I think it was... you remember ex-West Ham employee who last summer was was at the forefront of everything, Rice? He was saying that potentially something there.
Better be about 25 for that as well.
I don't care what we get, man. Let's just fucking sell them there. Too much.
No, but you see, we want the proper value Turkish.
We do, but I also don't want to see them here next season, Rob, man. I'll be honest.
We're not going to see them here next season. Those guys are going to be moving on. But we want to get the proper value for them. You just give players away.
You two need to have a show.
Imagine if he was in charge of transfers, man. We just give everything.
Imagine next season is Eddie coming on 0-0, 82nd minute. Bring Eddie on. I'm tired of that.
Eddie will be moving on. But you want to get a decent amount of money for him.
Yeah, but I also want to get him out. and Reece Nelson is finished, and Emil Smith-Rowe, please, like.
You got Patson Daka in, yeah?
Forget Patson Daka. I beg you, just forget. Daka would do better than Eddie.
As I said, right, thank God he ain't a
better
scout.
hope. Eddie might be in League On next year, and Daka's in the Premier League. Things change real quick, you know. Things change real.
He's been in the Premier League before.
Yeah, and
he flopped.
Eddie's about to bounce. All these English clubs after
I
him.
do think Eddie will still be in the Premier League.
Just say England, because you don't know if it's going to be Premier League.
English
it might
Premier
be
League.
Championship.
It's time for him to go.
Yeah,
Reece and Eddie, I'm with Turkish here. If it's 15, 20 mil each,
no, but you
time
want
to move on.
15 mil for Eddie.
For Reece,
After
maybe
you-
not for Eddie. I
not
think
even
20, 25 for Eddie.
To me, if you've seen the price that Murray Hutchinson's gone for,
Yeah.
you know, 15 million is. I think they should be after more. For Reece
I
Nelson.
agree, they should be after more, but this is Arsenal. We don't just.
For Reece
No, but they've got to
Nelson,
change
yeah.
that. They've got to change that. What James said earlier. So they've got to start, play hardball and say no. For if you want a player that he's played for Arsenal, he's got a lot of potential. We want 25 for Reece. If you want Smith Rowe, 30, 35, right? And that's because you're lucky because of the injuries, or it would be more. If you want Eddie Nketiah, 30, 30. I mean, listen, when I saw them 50 million quotes, I was like, that's mad. Yeah. But 30, 35 million for Eddie Nketiah as well.
The only problem is if no one pays it, they're on the bench next to coming on the 82nd minute and 0-0. I don't want to see Eddie coming on.
But,
for Arsenal
I
next
don't want
season.
us to give away players. I want us to get the right value for players so that we can go and reinvest that into the players that we need.
All right. Everyone, big thank you for joining us live on Talking Transfers. Big thanks to Christian Ty, big thanks to Robbie, big thanks to Turkish. Of course, Transfer Daily's out every morning. Every week there's an In Focus. There's a special one coming this week where we talk about Eze and Merino, as we did on the show. We'll give you some data, we'll give you a breakdown of them and talk about the key differences if Arsenal to pursue one or the other. Those are the two midfielders mainly linked at the moment. And of course, lots of content coming out, especially with that Euros final. England versus Spain preview from the Rice and Saka perspective coming out on AFTV shortly as well. Big thanks everyone. Catch you soon.